Okay, my name's Robbie Murphy, and I started at Lamar Theater in the fall of '98. I was amazed my very first day at Lamar that the man I thought was a janitor actually turned out to be one of the most brilliant professors I ever had, an absolute genius in lighting and scene design. Probably my best story is how I got my name. That the first day I met Jeff, I told him my name was Robbie, and he told me that that's no good. We already have a Robbie in the department. So I was called Robbie Female. Even many, many years after I left Lamar Theater, every time I would see Jeff, he still called me Robbie Female. And probably my best Wisorism is plug it into the horse's ass. So.
I'm Russ Schultz. I'm Dean of the College of Fine Arts and Communication at Lamar University, and for the past 15 plus years I've served as Jeff's boss. I've always been impressed with how creative and imaginative he was with his sets and his decorations. He was a true artist in what he was able to do in his creativity. And I'm sure that he was able to impart a lot of that art and creativity to his students. He will be missed.
What's my line? Everybody talks about Jeffisms, and I don't know if Adonia knows this, but I know our new department chair does. We even started a production practical performance, whatever that class is called, that we show up at Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 5. In the last 6 years, without me saying secretly behind Jeff's back, it's okay. He speaks a different language. He's just smarter than us. So when it happens, and I promise it will in your career at Lamar, he's going to look at you dead in the eye, and he's going to say, go to the horse's ass, get the thingamajig next to the who's and what's it, bring it back to me, and we'll razzmatazz the wingy. And you're going to say, okay. Don't panic. Come straight to me. Tell me what you're doing, and repeat exactly what he said. Because I promise I will look at you and say, go to the tool lock gun, and get the staple gun next to the mat knife, and bring it out there because you're going to go staple that curtain up. But it doesn't always mean that. The horse's ass has been everything I can ever think it could be. And it will always be the word I use for everything I can't think of the name of. The only fitting thing I can think of is to officially dub the tool lockup the horse's ass. So before next semester starts, it'll be up there and official, whether Dr. Connolly likes it or not. Donna, thank you for sharing him with me. 13 years we did art together, and I don't know how to do it without him, but the good news is I don't have to, because he's the reason I do what I do the way I do it. Even if he came behind me every time I did something and had every student that ever followed my direction do it backwards. I think it was his secret way of asserting his authority, because I feel like the only person at Lamar that understood him inside and out and got his art and knew where he was going before he knew how to get there. I feel very special for getting to stick with this job as long as I did. Tried to get rid of me several times, kept telling me I was smarter than he was and I needed to go to grad school. That leg of my journey will happen soon, just for him. But not yet, because Lamar needs me. The last thing that Jeff told me was that I was the heart of Lamar Theater, and that he needed me because he didn't know how to do art without me. Which is good, because we haven't done it without each other for the last 13 years. We've become so ingrained in each other that I think of him as family. So thank you for sharing your family with mine.
Thank you for realizing that art is collaboration.
And we have to talk to each other and collaborate with each other whether we want to or not.
Right.
Or it doesn't happen. So, if you do me a favor, come see our shows next semester. Buy a ticket for him. But you have to promise to stand up and walk out, and then walk back in. Sigh loudly, because that's what he liked to do. You always knew he was in the room, because you couldn't miss him. Actually, he was so proud of you. He used to tell us you were the milkman's son. I'm sure you heard that. He showed me how to love family because of the way he loved you so fiercely. Our students have been gathered around talking to each other, and the one thing they keep talking about is how proud of you he was, and how much he beamed and grinned like a little 5-year-old boy in a candy store when he brought up Beaumont's name. Thank you. If you ever need anything, you know where to find us, because family does for family. We will always be here. And whether you want us to or not, we will always love you like you're our own little brother. Love you, kids.
Hi, most of you don't know me. My name is Randall McCall. I was one of Jeff's first at Lamar. I ran the practical classes student there when Jeff came along. It's no secret that Jeff, when you first meet him, is like cold water hitting something hot. It's very shocking. He's a very intriguing personality. He's a very strong personality. He doesn't bend or waver. He never did. His personality never changed. He was not influenced by the people around him as much as he influenced those who were around him. Jeff, it's been 16 or 17 years since I met Jeff, when you guys first came down. And I didn't get to know, actually you were born about the time I was leaving. Donna Ray, Jeff loves you. And I remember it was so crazy to me because people in the arts fields don't usually have it together with their families. They tend to be so selfish. But Jeff, that was everything. There was there was a line with Donna Ray that nothing could cross. It was, he loved you, and that was probably the first character thing about Jeff that I recognized and began to hold on to. Maybe there's something about this guy that I can fight through, this personality, that's so different than anything I've ever run across. And actually, when you were born, I believe it was the year after I graduated, and I was teaching. I was an assistant in the technical side. And I was teaching some intro classes, and he would come in to the shop and would be in there working, and he'd be in there singing these ridiculous Blues Clues songs that he would sit there and watch on TV. And I'll never forget. He'd walked to me, and I would work, and I was kind of a frustrated worker. I like things to be perfect. And Jeff would come in singing to me in my face, "The sun's a bright star." Oh, and I want to strangle him. I just want to strangle him. Jeff challenged everything that I knew about technical theater. Every single aspect of it. And I became a better man for it. When I knew Jeff, he always wore a watch on his belt. A little, almost like a pocket watch setup. It was a watch kind of held to his belt. And he would reach down and look at it, rock on his heels, and stand up on his toes, and just make these expressions and say the oddest things at the weirdest times. And he always contradicted himself. Any of you guys have a stage lighting class?
Yeah.
Okay. When he comes in and he says, he's talking about color and the difference between light and hue and pigment, and everybody's lost. And half the girls in our class the year we took it were left crying the first class. They just were in tears. The class was in the Dishman building next door, and they were just in tears, unconsolable, because they were so confused with how much knowledge this man tried to push out in about 45 minutes. When he was talking, he was like, he would say, Randall, what color is your shirt? And I would say, it's kind of light blue. No, it's not blue. I mean, everything was no. And he would say it's a material that absorbs everything and reflects that color of blue. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, man? It's a blue shirt, Jeff. Everything was that way. I heard someone talk about learning to paint and teaching color. Jeff, same thing with paint and color. I'll never look at anything the same. He would never say something was red or brown or green or yellow or blue. He would always tell you what it took to mix up the color you were looking at. That's the way it was with me. And back then, we only bought paints in primaries. We bought the white and the black and the red, yellow, and blue, and we mixed everything with Jeff. And I learned a very fascinating talent that I've carried forth in my life, being able to mix colors, because the man would never tell you that that's brown or some shade of brown or it's brown with gray. He would never express it that way. And that's just the teacher side. He was a phenomenal teacher. If you could get caught up to his language. The thing I most wanted to say, I have one Jeffism to share with you that I know that Robbie back here will know very well and may have fallen off over the years, but I have one Jeffism to share with you again. But the thing I most wanted to say is we were working on a set, and I don't remember the name of the play. I've been thinking about it all the last couple of days since I got the news. And I was building a little piece of furniture. And it was the day the show opened, and I was really unhappy with the way the shape of this little detail came out on this little armoire piece. And like I said, I was a frustrated type of individual when things didn't go well. I wanted it to be perfect. And Jeff came over to me, and we were probably 2 hours from the show opening, and I was needing to fix the shape of this because it was really driving me crazy, and I needed to repaint it if I did that. And he's standing behind me, and he's doing his thing and sighing, and I can hear him pacing, and finally he walks up to me and he says these words, and I tell you, they have changed my entire life on how I handle work and everything I do. He walks up to me and he says, Randall, you're very good at what you do, but you will never be as good as you want to be until you no longer give a shit. And with that, he walked off. That piece of advice has changed the way that I handle life, and it will always stick with me. And I love Jeff for it. When I moved back from Houston, I guess about 10 years ago now, I came in to see him, and I walked into the theater. He come walking into the doors, and Jeff stood up, and his words were, "The prodigal son returns." And we sat and talked for quite a while. And I regret that I didn't go see him more often. That I let life business pass that opportunity by. I miss him. Think about him a lot. And I was only with him a few short years. In my time, I no longer cuss. I'm reaching deep to say these words. I've pulled that out of my life. I'm reaching deep, but the horse's ass was around back then too. But in my time, the word was shit breeder. It's come to mean anything in life that's secondary. It's not what as good as it should be. And Jeff used to always talk about something being the shit. And one day, I just had enough in the shop, and I just said, Jeff, what is a shit breeder? What is it? What are you talking about? And he said, well, he goes to tell me the story. He said, well, we used to, I guess he was doing some drywall work or something. He said, and they have the masks that cover your face to keep all the dust out of your face. And I said, yeah. He said, well, those are the good ones. They always gave me the shit breeders. Dust masks that they can put on that don't filter out anything, and you still breathe in all the shit. And I said, okay. And from that point on, that word became As many of the things you've heard, whenever you wanted a tool, whatever it was, and depending on the application, you would send someone to go get the ship for you. And only Jeff could communicate in such a way and affect and turn people's lives in positive manners. I'll always remember him in a good light, and it's a testimony to the impact that's here, to the faces that are here today. That's how you know that you'll be on my prayers, Don and Ashley. We will always remember Jeff in a good light. I thank you once again for sharing him with me as well.